Welcome back, everybody. Huge win today. Huge win. The Big Ten had been struggling all tourney long, and while it's only the second round, Michigan just pulled one of their best games of the season without Isaiah Livers against a lot of people's odds. If you look at a lot of the experts' picks for this game, they favored LSU. LSU was the trendy upset pick. The Big Ten was in shambles, and Michigan didn't have Isaiah Livers. Well, guess who proved them wrong today? No matter what happens throughout this tournament after this game, I am proud of this team for how they played in this game. Let's look at the box score and let's see how Michigan played in all facets of the game. So LSU had a lead early on. You can see that purple, it's hard to tell the color, but the purple line is LSU, the blue is Michigan, and LSU held a steady first half lead before Michigan kind of overtook them at the midpoint of the second half and held them off for the rest of the game to win 86-78 in a high-powered game. Box score. Very interesting box scores here. Let's start with LSU. LSU got ridiculous games out of its two best players. Cam Thomas and Javonte Smart both looked to me like NBA-ready guys, especially Cam Thomas in the first half. He was just knocking down unbelievable shots, like so difficult. He hit multiple fadeaways over Mike Smith and Eli Brooks. He was driving into the paint and finishing with contact at crazy acrobatic angles, and he was also drilling some threes. He was 3 for 5 for the game. Also, clutch free throws, both of them, 5 for 5 for Smart and 7 for 7 for Cameron Thomas. Thomas finished with 30 points. Javonte Smart finished with 27. LSU's main flaw, in my opinion, though, as a team, is their lack of passing. As you can see, there were only 7 assists, and most of those assists were not highlight level passes or feeds for an open layup. They were mainly passes to three-point shooters. So this LSU team is not a passing team. They're an ISO-heavy team. And while both Javonte Smart and Cam Thomas rewarded that style of play, when they needed buckets at the end of the game, they had to resort to ISOs where these two guys weren't hitting like they had been throughout the rest of the game. So that was really LSU's curse as well as their blessing, that ISO style of play. And no one else really showed up to play. Trenton Watford is that third wheel type player, and he had a nightmare free throw shooting game. He was still a force inside, but he didn't shoot efficiently, and he wasn't his normal self today. He also fouled out. Now, Michigan, I'm so proud of this team. I'm not going to lie, but I'll single out two guys in particular. Eli Brooks, the senior, had his best game of his career. In the first half especially, when Michigan was in dire need of buckets, down like 7 points, down 6 points, down 9 points, Eli Brooks would make a shot. He hit 5 threes in this game, 3 of them in the first half. He had 14 first half points when Michigan needed him most. And he also hit some big shots in the second half. Finished with 7 assists. He looked great out there. And only 1 turnover. He was our best player today. Definitely our best player, although the other amazing player today was Chaundi Brown, who bounced back in a big way. I was saying Chaundi Brown doesn't normally have 2 good games in a row, but he also doesn't normally have more than 2 bad games in a row. And he had 2 straight dismal performances, and he bounced back today with a 6 for 9 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, 6 for 6 from the free throw line. He's a terrible free throw shooter. 21 points. Just so clutch for him. I mean, Michigan needed all of those points. Chaundi Brown and Eli Brooks were so good today, both offensively and defensively. As you can see, they combined for 1 turnover, and they were so good today. Now, Hunter Dickinson, stat line might not be amazing, but 12 and 11, just a solid man's game. He was bruising inside. He ended up with 4 fouls, had 2 offensive fouls. He was playing really physical basketball. I'm not going to complain about how Hunter Dickinson played today, and his free throw shooting was very, very good. Also, I know he had 3 turnovers. I was saying that was a key to look out for, but I'm not going to fault him too much. I don't think he played sloppy today. I think he was actually very sharp with the basketball today, unlike previous games, unlike the Texas Southern game. Brandon John's stat line's not going to wow you. He had 7, 5, 2 blocks, and 1 steal. But he was really important in this game. He played a lot of minutes. He played really solid quality minutes and didn't have any turnovers, which has always been Brandon's problem That's why he gets benched. He turns the ball over. But today, he played within himself. He played well, and the shooting wasn't there, but every other facet of the game was there for Brandon Jones. Defensively, he was on point, and he was making the right play almost every time down the floor. Franz Wagner was really off in the first half, just not playing well. He had 5 points in the first half, 6 maybe, but not really shooting well at all. He was like 1 for 4 from the field, 1 for 5. And the second half, one of the first plays of the second half, Michigan had a fast break. Eli Brooks bounced pass to Franz. Franz fumbles it out of bounds. At that point, he got pulled out of the game. I was happy about that. I thought he was playing really bad basketball, and I thought Michigan had a good chance of going on a run with him out of the game, which they ended up doing, but I also knew they would need him in the clutch. He came up clutch. He hit a hook that reminded me of Xavier Simpson. He also put up a pull-up 3 that went in, giving Michigan a 9-point lead at the time, and he ended the game with a decent stat line of 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. Got in a little foul trouble, but he managed to make things work today. In a game, I'll credit him. In a game where he didn't look too good, he still finished with an important stat line. Mike Smith had a tough day. Definitely was the worst player out there on Michigan's team, except for maybe Austin Davis, who was a non-factor. Mike does a great job of handling the ball, but today was a little shaky. Now, he didn't shoot particularly well. He hit one really, really important 3 that tied the game up. That brought Michigan to a 3-point deficit when they were down 51-45. But other than that, Mike didn't do too much. He did have 6 assists, but he was a little loose with the ball. He threw a terrible turnover late in the game, and he also traveled. So I was a little unnerved by that at the end of the game. I expect he'll bounce back next game, though. Terrence Williams had some great minutes off the bench. He had one awful turnover, but he immediately made up for it with a tip-in off of a missed 3-pointer. So he had a good game. He also had 3 assists. I thought this was such a well-played game by Michigan, especially without Isaiah Livers, to come here and beat a team that had its 2 best players just play to their potential. Both Cam Thomas and Javonte Smart went off. But Michigan limited the damage elsewhere. I was saying in my pregame that we needed to limit these 2 guys, but I should have said limit everyone else, because that's what Michigan did, and it worked. We were able to basically let these guys get theirs. They got theirs. They combined for 57, but the rest of LSU combined for minuscule number of points, 21 to be exact, and most of them weren't factors. Trendon Watford was the only decent player on LSU other than these 2 guys. So Michigan did what they needed to do today. It was a stressful game throughout. I wasn't comfortable until the final buzzer sounded, but we got the W. If you look up here, it looks like we'll be facing Florida State in the Sweet 16. Look, every game's tough, but if I had to pick a team to face in the Sweet 16, Florida State would be high on my list. I'm not that concerned about this team. That's not to say I think Michigan will win this game, but not the scariest team to play in the Sweet 16, in my opinion. I'll probably make a preview about that later, though. I do believe Michigan can win that Sweet 16 game and get to the Elite Eight. I'm hoping Alabama loses up here tonight, and then the bracket really opens up for Michigan. If not, win this game, get to the Elite Eight, which is what I think Michigan will do. I'm not 100%, but that's my prediction. And a clash potentially with Alabama in the Elite Eight to make Michigan's 3rd Final Four appearance in the last 10 years. That's all today. Thanks for watching. Huge win. Just huge. So good. I'm so proud of this team. I was really nervous throughout this game, and they just got it done when it mattered. So thank you guys for watching. Go Blue. Let's make this Final Four run, baby.